Hello, coming live today. I'm going to have Julia join me. We're going to talk about military life and a little bit about DITY moves. Julia has 3 kids and she's an Army spouse. Well, thanks so much for making time. I know you're still getting settled in at your new
Yes, can you
post.
tell? We're
Well,
still
I just
backwards.
know because I follow your life. Um, so, Julia is an Army spouse. She has 3 kids. Her husband has been in, I think you said 13 years. I don't have that written down.
Yeah,
Um,
13 years last month.
right. And she's been married to him for 10 of those years. And they've managed to create 3 kids in that time, which is really amazing because he's Army, which means he's gone a lot.
Yes, he is.
Um, yeah. So you must be really fertile. So,
Oh,
um,
some days are better than others.
So Julia and I actually are only internet friends. We don't know each other in person, but I've really enjoyed following her. One of the things I appreciate about you, Julia, is just you're very authentic, and I think
Thank
we
you.
need more of that on social media. So Julia has come on today to talk DITY, but when she and I were going back and forth, some of the things she said I really liked. So since this is my Instagram live, I'm going to ask her some other things, but she knows
Great.
this. Um, so I know you used to have a small business that you called Spouse Serve, and it was great because you sold merchandise to help military spouses calm the chaos of military life.
Yes.
And boy, we know there can be some chaos. So she offered like resources, organizational tools, day planners, and stationery. And it was a successful business.
Well,
Um, so why did you step away from the business? Can you tell me about that?
yeah, so the business had been going for about 5 years. And originally I had started it with a girlfriend, and then she stepped away because she was also active duty herself,
Okay.
and it was just a lot. And so she had stepped away about 18 months before. And then in that time, as I was doing it alone, it continued to thrive. But I just kept feeling the Lord tell me, like, it's not the right season for this. And I kept saying, like, what are you talking about? This business is successful. Like, what do you mean it's not the right time for this? And he just kept reminding me of that. And finally, in March of last year, I just really felt him say, like, this is a good thing, but it's not the great thing. And good can rob you of what is my best for you.
Hmm.
And I had no idea what was going to come after the business closing. My husband was currently deployed. We had 3 small kids at home, and I just like trusted him in that. And so from March to June of last year, I kind of like closed down the business, and it officially closed in June of last year. So we're right around a year now. And little did I know that following closing the business, my middle child, who you probably hear screaming up there,
Okay.
um,
Real life.
is, yeah, very real life here. She was diagnosed with celiac disease in November. And so it just kind of was the Lord preparing me for that, of like
Hmm.
what was going to come, and then basically the full-time work that was going to come of like just changing our family over to a completely gluten-free lifestyle. She's 4,
Yeah.
and so like being able to explain to her like what's happening with her body and all of that. And so just trusting the Lord when I didn't know what was going to come, and now being able to be fully present for all the things. And it really hit me last spring, as I was closing the business and knew it was closing. I would like sit down at my desk to do some work, and our youngest, who wasn't even 2 at the time, she's like, "Mama, don't work, Mama." And so like it just pulled at me, like, these are my children that the Lord has blessed us with. And like, if I, like, obviously my husband can't be here all the time. That's just the nature of our
Hmm.
life. But if I don't have the time to be with them, like, who's with them? And like, thankfully I was working from
Right.
home, so I was still more present than, a lot of working moms get to be. But, it's just trusting the Lord. And I don't think he calls all of us to this, but he was definitely calling me to this. And, there's a season for everything. And so, I trust that if there's another season for me to go back to work or to have my own business again, like, he will call me to that too.
Yeah. And I really like that because I feel like as a military spouse, we do have different seasons. And sometimes we do have to make sacrifices. But I want to affirm you that, I am in the empty nest season now, and I can do all kinds of things that I didn't do. But like you, my husband was in the military. He worked a lot. He was gone a lot. And I chose to, focus on my kids. And, there's times where that can be hard. But it was something that I was called to. But I'm sure to you, the days seem long. But there are definitely future seasons. And I'm doing something completely different than even what I used to do before kids. So there are future seasons. So I just thought that might speak to some of the wives out there who maybe even feel like, I don't like this season. Like, just hang on, because there are future seasons.
Yeah.
So I see you post a lot about Diddy, and I feel like when I think of you, I think of moving boxes and you talking about how you move and how you have goals for the day. And I did partial Diddy moves, but I never did a full Diddy move. But I want to talk about this on my page because I'm understanding from everyone that is still serving that Diddy move is a lot more prevalent right now.
Yes.
So you have moved 9 times with at least a partial Diddy. So bless you. I did 14 moves, but that was in 20 years. You are one of the few families that I've heard or that had a really terrible story about a military procured mover. So that caused you to switch to a full Diddy. You mentioned that because you can pack over months, that seems less overwhelming to you. And I thought that was interesting because that kind of made me think, oh, that seems more overwhelming. Like, for months, I'm going to be packing. So can you talk a little bit or give tips about how you make it manageable don't allow it to steal your joy?
Yeah, I think so first of all, my husband is very much like you. He does not love the packing over months, and he wishes that we could just do it in 3 days. Unfortunately, he also doesn't also love to pack. So
Right.
I am doing the packing. And so he helps with, the things he can and his things, but especially with this move, he worked all the way up until we left. Like, he didn't take early leave. And so the packing truly fell on me. And that's, one of the natures of being at home with the kids and stuff, is that it can fall on me. So for me, I would love to someday be able to just like sit down and like for a week or 4 days or whatever it is, knock out my entire house. But as you may or may not have heard me say over the course of packing, we're kind of maximalists and we have a lot of stuff. And we are like the furthest thing from a minimalist family. And so what I love about full Diddy moving, is that you are tangibly touching all of your stuff.
Yeah.
And so you can then assess as you're packing it, is this something I need? Is this
Yeah.
something that our family still uses? Is this something that fits us? Like, are we moving to Hawaii and we don't need winter coats? Are we moving to Alaska and we probably don't need swimsuits? Or, whatever we're doing. Or have our kids all just grown out of stuff.
Yeah.
And so that's helpful. And I think for me, I just kind of embrace what I've called the cardboard palace, is that our house just becomes cardboard everywhere. And there's so much you cannot control in a move. And those things are going to go wrong, period. But for me, as a control freak and